One of the first videos I ever did for this channel was called Bruce Springsteen versus the Boss. It was like the second video I did, I think, about 2.5 years ago. And in that video, I talked about how I prefer Bruce Springsteen versus this larger-than-life character everybody calls the Boss. I like Bruce Springsteen, the E Street Band. You know, I'm not one of these guys that plays Darkness on the Edge of Town bootlegs over and over. No. I like this album, Born to Run. I really like Darkness on the Edge of Town. I think it's excellent. And I really like The River. Part of the reason I really like The River is it starts to hint at what became Nebraska, which is my favorite album Bruce Springsteen has ever done, with or without the E Street Band. Period. I absolutely love that record. And I've often wished that Springsteen would continue in that direction. And in 1995, it looked like that was going to be the case because he put out an album called The Ghost of Tom Joad. I caught him on tour. It's the first time I ever saw Springsteen. I was in about the 9th or 10th row of the same auditorium on the University of Minnesota campus that I would graduate from, or had just graduated from, I think. The show was incredible. There were different interpretations of a lot of songs off Darkness on the Edge of Town and Nebraska, and also The River, and it just was just excellent. I loved The Ghost of Tom Joad. I still do, and I was very much looking forward to a follow-up. Since then, the E Street Band got put back together. There were mammoth tours, and albums came, and we would get Bruce Springsteen solo-ish projects once in a while without the E Street Band, and some were much better than others. Western Stars, I think, is one of the best records he's done, period, really. Definitely since like 84 or whatever marker you want to give. I mean, since 1984, my favorite Bruce Springsteen records are Tunnel of Love, Tom Joad, and Western Stars. And am I missing one in there? I don't think so. Those are the three that I absolutely love post, Born in the USA. So when this new box set was announced a couple days ago, Bruce Springsteen, The Lost Albums, Tracks 2, I was super excited. I was reading everything about it. You know, I've been paying attention to this for a while because he's talked about this Lost 1994 record that he did around the times of Streets of Philadelphia, where he's experimenting around with loops. He talked about a lot more material from like the Western Stars period, which of course I love. And I always wondered if there was, and I think I heard that there was some sort of follow-up that was being worked on to The Ghost of Tom Joad. So this box set, in my mind, is all the detours that Bruce Springsteen could have made had he continued with the idea that he was very much publicly talking about in 1995 of having this second act where it's going to be more stripped down or more just him, and he felt like that is what he should be doing. Gets back together with the E Street Band, and kind of the rest is history. I don't hate the E Street Band. I just really like Springsteen as an artist, trying new things and not being beholden to what he did in the 70s and trying to recapture that. Let's get to this box set because it is really exciting. And we'll talk about the non-exciting part in a little bit. But the first record is one that, frankly, I did not know existed until recently. I had no idea. Now, I'm a fan, like I said, of his stuff more than the E Street Band stuff in recent years. And I don't go down the whole E Street Band, every single message board the way that some people do. So I did not know that this first album, which is called LA Garage Sessions 1983, even existed, that material, until about 2 or 3 days ago when I was reading about stuff leading up to the announcement of this record. This is a bunch of sessions he did in his new home in LA when he moved there in 1983, early 1983, after Nebraska, by himself. Now, I don't think it's quite like Nebraska from what I've heard, but it's just him, and it's another like bunch of songs. It's just amazing how many songs he had for Nebraska and Born in the USA. Another set of songs that did not appear on Born in the USA. And the songs that have been released from that session are great, really great songs. County Fair, Johnny Bye Bye, and my favorite, Shut Out the Light. I absolutely love that song. So I'm super excited, 18 songs, to hear this this album of unreleased material, 1983, from Bruce Springsteen by himself right after Nebraska. And then we have this album that's been talked about forever. I'm surprised it doesn't have a name other than Streets of Philadelphia Sessions. But apparently back in like 93, 94, after those two albums he did, Human Touch and Lucky Town, he was working on this material. One of the songs became Streets of Philadelphia. It was used in that Tom Hanks movie. But there were a lot of other songs and the whole album's worth of material that were from that era that just never got released. Well, now we have that. It's called Streets of Philadelphia Sessions. And that, I think, could be quite good. You know, I think he had a lot to prove after those records. I doubt he was very happy with Human Touch and Lucky Town. And Streets of Philadelphia, the song is great. And Secret Garden is also from these sessions, which is on this record. For some reason, they didn't put Streets of Philadelphia, the song, on Streets of Philadelphia Sessions. My guess is maybe there's some kind of rights issue because it was part of a major motion picture. The next record we have is called Faithless. I wasn't familiar with this, but apparently Springsteen was working on what some people call a gospel record. This looks to be that material, but learning about it in the last couple days, it is a soundtrack to a movie that never got made. And you can look at the song titles and you definitely think like, okay, you know, there's definitely some gospel religious stuff going on here. I read some message board where they're like, hey, that looks like it could be Springsteen's Slow Train Comin' record. I mean, you've got a song called Faithless, All God's Children, God Sent You, My Master's Hand. You know, that could be really interesting. And that one's a little confusing about when it was made, although if these are listed in order, it seemed to mean that it was still a 90s record. The next record, Somewhere North of Nashville, recognize that title because it was one of the songs that was on Western Stars. This album, apparently, I think it's the album some people refer to as Daylight Tom Joad. Apparently, there were two sessions going on at the same time. During the day, small country trio kind of band. I don't think it's the E Street Band. I think it's different members. Were recording, and then at night, Springsteen was recording by himself. And most of Tom Joad, the album, is from the night sessions, although maybe there's a couple songs recorded during the day. And these are the rest of those songs, I guess, recorded during the day in the Tom Joad Daylight sessions, or at least they have been described as a like country-ish album. So my guess would be that, yeah, this comes from 95, right around Tom Joad. There's three songs, I guess, that are recognizable. Janie, Don't You Lose Your Heart, I think was on Tracks, the original box set. And then Stand On It, I think was a Born in the USA outtake, also on there. And then, of course, the song Somewhere North of Nashville that we heard on Western Stars. The next record, I believe, was a follow-up to Tom Joad that we never got to hear. It's called Inyo. It looks like he was mining the same sort of Western-themed border issues, Mexican immigrants, Mexican Americans, life on the border, crime, poverty, all those really cheery issues. I loved Tom Joad, the album, so I was very much looking forward to a follow-up. This does look like it's that album. I mean, just the song titles alone: Indian Town, The Aztec Dance, Ciudad Juarez, The Last Charo. Could be a really interesting record. I'm definitely looking forward to that one. And I'm definitely looking forward to the next one, too. As a real big fan of Western Stars, apparently he did a lot more music like Western Stars. And this one is supposedly like a sister album to that. It's called Twilight Hours. All the songs to me are new, but if you scan the song titles, you can definitely see that they just, the song titles alone could fit into Western Stars. We have an album called, a song title called High Sierra and Sunliner and Follow the Sun. It's described by Springsteen as a mid-century noir record. So really excited about that, Twilight Hours. And then the last record is probably the one I'm least excited about. It's also the record that supposedly is not like a standalone lost record that could have been released. It's more of a compilation that Springsteen made to make sure we got more rock records in there. So I would imagine this is more of a nod to the E Street Band fans. And you can tell even by the first single, Rain in the River. I don't think it's Springsteen, the E Street Band on there. I think it's probably, my guess would be it would be culled from something like Wrecking Ball, like that period. I don't think it's a very good song. It's too bad. I think that they represented this whole box set when it was announced by this song, but I've also heard that maybe they're going to release a song a week from this thing until it comes out in late June, which would be really cool. I'm dying to hear some of these songs off these albums I already mentioned, like the Tom Joad follow-up, the Western Star Sibling album. Love to hear some of that material. And if it's anywhere near as good as those albums, I'm going to be absolutely thrilled. But yeah, the last album's called Perfect World. Song titles look kind of intriguing. Blind Man, Great Depression, Cutting Knife, Perfect World. Apparently, some people think that might be the same version or the same song that showed up recently on John Mellencamp record. I don't know if it's a case at all, but looks to be an amazing set. I mean, isn't it every fan's dream that your favorite artist has unreleased entire albums that could have been put out? I mean, it is for me. Oh my God, this could be the coolest box set ever. Not mining the depths of some project and pet sounds with every single little song, little part you've ever wanted to hear, all these Beatles releases that are kind of the same thing, or even these Wilco boxes, which are beautiful, but it's still just a deep dive into a session and not always complete at that. I'm looking at you, Yankee Hotel Foxtrot session that kind of erased Jay Bennett. I'll be quiet. This looks absolutely incredible, and I cannot wait to hear this thing. Now let's go on to the not so fun part. The price on this thing is absolutely insane. If I was looking at this and thinking, okay, you're putting out 7 really cool, hopefully well done vinyl records. 2 of them are double records apparently. I would have guessed a couple $100. I would have thought $200, and then for CDs I would have thought like maybe a $129 or something like that. Just over $100. It is completely shocking to me that he's charging $350 for the vinyl version of this and $300 for the CD version. And the CDs these days are like, I mean, they go for nothing. They're very, very cheap to buy. So I know everybody fetishizes the shit out of vinyl, but when $50 per title for a record. Okay, 2 of them are double. Oh, factor that in. We're still talking like $45. One of them, those 2 are $60. The rest of them would still be around $45 a piece. It's absolutely ridiculous. So, and then people are like, oh, but it comes with a book. Well, that thing came with a book. I'm sure they're hyping it. Wow. I think this is the first time I've ever pulled that out. The tracks original box set was not whole albums. It was just a bunch of random tracks from sessions, unreleased songs mostly, and some B-sides. That had a booklet. I was going to dig it out to look at it. It got lost in the flood that I had. I remembered what I was looking for and found this, how it was just all falling apart. I do have the discs. I have them, the 4 discs that were in there. I saved those, but the packaging was completely lost. But I don't remember that thing being anything spectacular. The booklet that came with Live 75-85 is nothing spectacular. It has the lyrics in it, which is kind of cool, I guess. These booklets, they're cool, but they're something you read once and you put away. And if it's high quality book, if it's really a high quality book that you could like put on your shelf kind of book, like separate from the thing, it's a real good book. Okay, that's different, but these things are not necessary. So if that's what's driving up the cost, why are they doing that? My guess is this book is nothing that special, like most of these booklets are. I'm sure it's nice. I'm sure it's cool to have. But you have these 7 records, and the packaging looks absolutely amazing, which is thank God, because usually he's not very good with packaging. These all have like true to the era packaging. Looks really cool. Why you couldn't just slide in more a little booklet, an album-sized booklet in each one that kind of explains, things, the sessions, background. instead of having a standalone book. I don't know, but it does look like they did a really good job with that, so I'm excited about that. But these booklets, if that's what's driving it up, it's ridiculous. Like, who cares? But people pay the money. That's the thing. People are paying $1,000 a seat to see him on his last tour. I don't know who these people are. There's no band in the world I'm paying $1,000 to see. And if I was ever to pay $900 to see a band, which I wouldn't do either, I'm certainly not going to do it in an arena or a stadium. Yeah, I'm going to do it in a small theater with like the fourth row seats or something. I mean, I don't get it. I don't get it at all. I know he's an amazing artist, but the kind of capitalism that has just gone off the rails with this type of stuff is just completely outrageous to me. $350 and $300 for the CD version. Okay. 78% of people stream music. Maybe they're looking at that. They also know that their audience is older and, grew up on physical media, and some of them are pretty well off, so, they'll pay out that money. But I must say, I've been on these message boards. I was super excited about this, reading out for 2 days, 3 days, when everybody was like, this is coming. And super excited about it. Love the discussions that were going on. Every single discussion since this thing was announced is all about price. It's all anybody can talk about because it's completely outrageous. And I know there's people that will defend it and the stupid book and all that. And maybe it's not a stupid book. I shouldn't get ahead of myself. It might be an amazing book. Is it a book that drives up the price that much? As it is, I think it just outprices so many people. And for a guy that sings about the working class and came up and always talked about the common man, it's really just, all of it's just kind of a slap in the face, I think, to his audience. But definitely interested. That aside, I'm so interested in hearing this thing, but it just leaves a very foul taste in my mouth. The good news is this thing will be streaming. It's already on the streaming sites. It's just blacked out like any other new release, with like the single being the only one you can play. I'm really excited. I personally am just going to try to pretend like I don't know about the pricing for a while. It's not out to the end of June. Maybe some retailers will slash the price, or maybe these stupid tariffs are going to drive everything absolutely insane and we will all be forced to stream. I don't know. Anyway, thanks everyone. It's pretty exciting news.